all things
Previously on Hauntformer.
the best that Lemax has had to offer in a single year's lineup. And this isn't even the Michaels exclusives yet. Halloween. This is Hauntformer. And today, we are back to talk about Lemax.
Spooky Town, boys and ghouls.
For 2023. Not the regular Spooky Town, though. The Michaels exclusive piece.
Using the hashtag #MakeItWithMichaels.
Now, sometimes there's overlap, so I don't know what regular Lemax stuff Michaels is going to have, but I can tell you all about the exclusives that Michaels is going to offer, which seems to be the main selling point for Michaels. And I have to say, I like the original stuff a whole lot more than these exclusives, unfortunately. I do think that there are some good pieces. There's one in particular that I really like, mostly for thematic purposes, but have my handy-dandy iPad out because I honestly don't remember all of these names, and so I need its help to help me, to help you, to help Michaels sell Lemax pieces. So, let's jump into the first piece, the Grime and Slime Spring, which is a very straightforward accessory piece. Green glowing slime, very cool. I love myself green, my favorite color. I think the lizards and the snakes on it are really nice. When they do these accessory pieces right, to kind of have in a mainstay of the land when you're designing your spooky town, something that's not a building in the middle, to have some characters around it, I always like. This is a great example of that. If for nothing else, then that light, the green light, I think is really cool. Secondly, Dungeon Cart. This will go with some of the pieces you're about to see, but I think it's a really cool accessory piece, usable in not just a single theme. You could probably use it in multiple themes, but again, like that medieval vibe, I think would be very topical for this piece. Up next, Wicked Wigs. This is a light-up piece. As you can see, it's got the Frankenstein's monster and the bride very prominently on it. If for nothing else, then the bride has a fantastic set of hair. And I think it's really cool. I like the little window with the wigs in it. I think it glows really nicely. It reminds me of that Taffy Works that we got a couple years back. And it's not my favorite, but I think it's going to be a very good seller, knowing kind of the Michaels demographic and, to an extent, the Lemax Spooky Town demographic as well. But there's one more that I think is even going to be more popular and blow that out of the water. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of this video, maybe my favorite one, or one that I really gravitated to, maybe for nothing else than theming alone, and that is the Bigfoot Brew House, which is kind of this like lodge bar, like a mountainous bar, but it's about Bigfoot. And if you know me, you know I love myself aliens and I love myself cryptids. Bigfoot is maybe the most popular cryptid out there. What's weird though is it's called the Bigfoot Brew House, but it's a Yeti. It's not a Bigfoot technically. I know Bigfoots and Yetis are basically the same thing, except Yetis in the snow. Nevertheless, I really like the piece. I'm maybe gonna get it. I really liked that aquarium. Gonna go for that first, but yeah, I quite like this piece. It's kind of a standard house, but the theming, I think, elevates it for me. Up next, and I think perhaps the biggest seller to be at Michaels, maybe even in the whole year, is the Haunted Estates. People love these backdrop scene setter pieces. This one's fantastic. It also dips its toe pretty heavily into that trick-or-treat street vibe going on. As you can see, all the little trick-or-treaters and the ghosts and the skeletons popping out of the windows and the doors. Peak theming, peak spooky, and I think it's going to be a great seller at Michaels. So if you want this one, jump on it. Up next, Wicked Garden Coven. Now, despite what I have said about witches in the past, and I think witches can be done well, it's just kind of hard to do so, I think this is a step in the right direction. That very woodland fantasy type of witch thing. I'm starting to tap into that vibe and kind of channel it within me, and I'm starting to appreciate it more. I dig it. I don't think this is my favorite piece by a long shot, but I think this is a great piece for witch fans, of which I may become a witch fan depending on which witches they do. Up next, and the one that goes really well with that accessory piece, and last but certainly not least in terms of the Michaels exclusives, is the Dungeon of Terror, which I also think will be a very good seller. As you can see, it has these swinging, what are those, dragons? Yeah, flying dragons in the background there. You have like a torture chamber with an executioner, people in cages, and of course the Grim Reaper standing off to the side. I haven't really gotten into the medieval stuff yet. I do have that one dragon lair potions piece, oddly enough, just because I like the dragon on top, and the architecture especially. But to see Lemax continuing in this theme, offering something different in it, I think is really fun. And technically, if you look at it, it's got boat rides. It seems to suggest that this is some kind of like amusement park attraction. I don't know if this can go into like a carnival or a fair type theme, but be my guest at it. Let me know in the comments if you think that would work, or if it would be too much of a juxtaposition to have a dungeon with kind of circusy stuff. Would that take the vibe away? I'm not sure. At any rate, these are the Michaels exclusives. If you didn't see the other Lemax video, I highly recommend it. Those pieces are top tier. These are pretty good too, but usually the Michaels ones always beat out the originals, but it seems to be reversed this year. But maybe I'm in the minority. Let me know in the comments below. See you in the next video, creepies, and remember, for all things Halloween, this is Hauntformer. Don't close.